Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Ravit Show. We have a special guest and my favorite medium writer, who is Admond Lee, today as a guest, and we'll be discussing about his data science journey. He'll be sharing some amazing tips and tricks to write blogs, and also we'll be sharing some career path in data science. So I hope you guys would be asking some amazing questions because Admin Lee was kind enough to actually offer his personal, brand course, which is Data Scientist Personal Brand Toolkit. And three lucky winners will be actually uh, getting that free course from Admin. And we'll also be sharing about maybe a coupon code for the anyone who's interested to take on admin's course. But nevertheless, let's just not waste any more time and get Admin D. Hey, Admin, welcome to the Ravit Show.
Hey,
How does it feel
Ravit.
to be on the Ravit Show?
Yeah, great to be here. I've been, watching a show all the time. And I think this is the first time to be on the show. Quite excited actually, and really great. That we can discuss, about data science and all the journey and interact with the audience here. Look forward to it. Yeah.
Amazing. I already have a person who's waiting for you just before we started as well. Roxelle was here. Hello, I'm the first number one fan of Admin's work. So she's been following your
So,
work, I guess.
yeah, thanks, Rosie. I appreciate it. I really enjoy the articles and the sharing. Yeah, hope you like that.
Amazing. So,
Cool.
admin, let's get the ball rolling.
Hmm.
First things
Yeah.
first, uh, tell us something about yourself. What do you do? Where do you come from? And yeah.
Cool. Hey guys. So this is Edmund here. And if you've seen me on LinkedIn, I've been quite active on LinkedIn. And I started off, as a physics graduate back then in my school. And slowly, because I wanted to change my career, I felt like I was, passionate in this field. So then I did a little bit of internship and personal project. And I've been a data scientist for the past 2 years plus. Meantime, I did a bit of consulting. And right now, currently, I'm a data science instructor at a startup here based in Singapore. So basically teaching data science, to students. And also I write articles, as what Ravi mentioned just now, on Medium and other different platforms to share my experience, my journey, or even my mistakes, that I encountered throughout the journey with my audience. So I'm glad that you guys found it helpful, hopefully. So look forward to it. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So we already have folks joining in. We have Aditi joining in. Hey,
Yes.
Aditi. We
Hi.
have
Hey
Ayush
guys.
Agarwal joining in. Hey, Ayush. We have Manisha Jain joining
Hey
in.
Manisha. Oh, hey
We have
guys.
Vinay.
Hey, good
Hey,
morning.
Vima.
Yeah, great that you guys joining us.
Vima
Great.
Sharaf is here. Sal is
Hi.
here.
Yes.
Cost of Data is here. So yes, everyone's
Yeah.
in here. We have folks to join in. But yes, just for everyone who's joining in and who didn't hear me in the beginning, we'll be giving three courses by Admin Lee, and this will be for three best questions. So make sure that y'all are asking some amazing questions to Admin. And Admin, are you picking these three winners by end of this show, or do you want to announce it later? How does it work?
Yeah, I think I'll pick the winners, the top three winners after the show, so that we can announce that later on LinkedIn. To share with them as well. Yeah. Does that does that sound good to you? Hi, Rabbit. Can you hear me?
Hey,
Hi, Rabbit. Can you hear me?
yes, I can. Did we just face a technical issue? No worries, we are back, I guess.
Okay, sure. Cool. All
So
right.
my first question for you is,
Yeah.
how did you start off your data science journey, and what was the process? Why data science?
Great. There's a mouthful of questions here. So I think that's interesting. as I say, I transitioned myself from an academia, basically from physics into data science. And I know there are a lot of people from academia, not just physics, but research background or other different backgrounds like psychology, stuff like that. They want to go into data science, and it was challenging for me at the first time. So during that period of time, I struggled a lot because I still can remember that
Yeah.
before I decided to join data science, I was about to, graduate soon in a few months' time. So it was very struggling and challenging. But then I decided that I wanted to graduate, and then I joined a full-time internship just to build my portfolio. And I know that wasn't very conventional because most people they would just go for a full-time job instead. So I decided to go for a full-time internship and just to build my portfolio and experience, right? And a few months later, then I
Yeah.
joined my first full-time data science job. It's not data scientist role yet, but it's a data science job, kind of machine learning engineer, stuff like that. So from that onwards, I think 2 years back, I started writing my articles on Medium. So there was a time where I started writing on Medium, sharing my journey, and before I move on to my next role to become like data scientist, as the role suggested. So after 2 years later, and I then, I decided that I love sharing, I love teaching, all the stuff that I share on Medium, conference, meetup, stuff like that. I really felt that I love sharing. I love helping people, serving others. So from there, I decided to make another jump that I've now currently become a data science instructor. Basically, it's a teacher. It's a teacher that shares my data science knowledge and experience with others, but in a more formal context currently. Yeah, so it is, yeah, the journey, and I enjoy it. Yeah,
But that's an inspirational journey because it's just back from,
yeah,
you just started and you started writing and you just had that, for you wanted to share something about your journey.
exactly.
And looking at your Medium page as well, I could actually feel that, very well, because it is more like a personal touch to it. You have that, your learnings always in there, that what have you learned and what are the things that you've gone through, and that made you strong to actually stick to something which is data science. And yes, definitely that makes a lot of sense. So one question that another question that brings me is, if you actually want to suggest a layman about data science and AI, who would you suggest?
Sorry, can you come again? I think I missed that the question.
Yeah. For no worries. So for a layman, how would you actually, describe what is data science or AI?
Great, very interesting question. So to me, right, usually how people ask, when they ask me this question, I would just say that data science. Uh, as someone who works in data science, we are a problem solver. I wouldn't say we are a programmer or stuff like that, but I think data science and
Yeah.
AI, they are the tool in order to solve some problems, some business problems, right? So I see myself, as a problem solver when people ask, what exactly that I'm doing currently. What I would
Right.
say is that I use data science or AI to solve business problems. Yeah, using data, so to speak. Yeah.
Right. So you do. Is that what you teach to your students as well? As in, that is your area of teaching as well. Solving business problems, or what is it that is your area of topic that you actually teach?
Exactly. So my current role is I teach Python from scratch. So I bring someone who knows nothing about programming to someone who can code in Python. And also I teach them about data science, machine learning in general, and build their data science portfolio and projects as well in my current role.
Right.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So we mainly use Python to do that. Yeah, which is fun to learn. Exactly.
Amazing, amazing. So, talking about your
Yeah,
Medium channel, actually, I wanted to, just put in some light on it, because
exactly.
folks, I'm sure most of us know. So here it is. So yeah, it
Wow.
looks. So you have. It
Yeah.
looks amazing because how reading has changed your life. You've been describing that. So, how long does it take for you to write a article or a blog?
Yeah, that was very interesting. I mean, writing article at first is very time consuming. I got to admit that. It took me like
Yeah,
a few hours to write one piece, but slowly and slowly as time passed by, I began, to be more familiar with writing, how to come up with ideas, how to put those ideas into words. So
yeah,
usually on average, one article, takes me about 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours. Um,
yeah.
but there was an article, I think the longest time that I've ever taken is the article that have gone viral somehow is about me explaining p-values as a data scientist. So that article alone took me 1 day. Like I wasn't exaggerating it. It's really it took me 1 day to write the article.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's so much
exactly.
in the article to write about. But it was fun. I mean, I got to share and it makes you think, right? When you write articles, makes you think deeper about some topics and you write into words to explain these kind of complex ideas to others.
Right,
Yeah.
right. No, I completely understand. And how was it the first
Mm.
time that your article went, viral? And what was your thought about it? Like, how did you feel about it?
Yeah, I think going back to that article, right? The title is P-values explained by data scientists. The reason why I wrote that piece of article is because a lot of data scientists they don't really understand p-values. All of us talk about p-values, thinking that we know about stats and p-values, but not many of us really understand what p-values mean. So I think, hey, why not I write an article to explain that, using some sort of examples and scenarios. And that came to me as a surprise because it kind of went viral. Like I still remember that my phone was giving me notification for a few hours, just for the article in different social medias. And that was the time I
Yeah,
realized, like, hey, what happened to this article? And that was the time I realized people really wanted to learn more about this, and I was glad that I shared that, yeah, to that,
right.
yeah,
Okay, so we'll just take a question from
yeah,
Costa Beer. Some
yes.
internship questions, obviously. I have come across us to solve some advanced Python and machine learning problems. How should we go about which topics in ML should we keep handy?
Right, right. I think this is a common question because usually Python and machine learning
Yeah,
are the most common job role. So I would say for Python, you need to have not just the basic understanding, but also the object-oriented understanding of Python. So meaning that if you use Python, you need to be able to at least write a class. So that's the minimum expectation from my opinion. In terms of Python, you need to know how to use pandas, data frame, data cleaning, stuff like that. When it comes to machine learning, I would say there are a few common machine learning topics that you need to understand or care about. You need to have the minimum understanding of some common machine learning libraries like SVM, XGBoost. What is the difference between bagging and boosting? All these stuff. All this is the minimum expectation that you need to know, and what's overfitting, underfitting. So all these are some of the topics in machine learning that you need to keep in mind when it comes to interview as a data scientist for internship as well. Yeah.
amazing tip. I'm sure that that
Yeah.
helped Costa to just get there, because I think there's a
Yeah.
lot, which is going around the internship. And last time I was, before Ben Taylor, I was with Danny
Yeah.
and Tom Ives. So I remember there was a question that popped up around the internship, and then someone just actually mentioned that employers are actually, like the interns are actually paying the employers to get that internship. What do you think about it? What's this rift about? Like,
To get the employers,
yes, exactly. It's kind of
like
shocking, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, wait. So you're asking that how can we get an internship through an employer? Could you repeat
Not
maybe the
exactly.
question again?
Well, the thing that was discussed was someone just came out and actually mentioned that uh, the interns are actually paying the employers for the internship, so it's
I
working the other
see.
way around. Yeah,
Right. Well, that was a bit, extreme scenario for my
Exactly.
first.
But
Yeah,
have you ever come across such scenario where the employer has actually asked for an internship, or you have heard about it?
exactly. I do understand that sometimes people really need to pay for that, but I didn't come across that the maximum extent that I did before was that I helped NGOs, the kind of non profit organization, and I did it for free for them. So it was one of the consulting projects that I did it without any charges. Basically it's a pro bono work, but I didn't pay them back for me to work on their projects. So I
Yeah,
think if you need to really pay someone to give you a project, I would usually say instead of you paying them money to get the internship, is there any
exactly.
value that you can offer in exchange? Yeah, like I
Yeah,
can help you take notes during a meeting. I can perhaps introduce you to someone for your business, stuff like that. Yeah, so this,
yeah. Exactly. No, it makes a
yeah,
lot of sense. So
yeah,
we have a lot of many questions which are popping in, but before
yeah,
getting on to the next question,
yes,
admin, I wanted to just touch base on the. I actually wanted to show the audience the course that you're giving away today,
yeah.
those three courses. So I will just quickly open this tab. Yes, so this is the course. Can you just let us know can you just throw a little light on the course, how
Hmm.
what will the folks learn out of this course? And yes, you are giving away three courses,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So this is the course that I purposely built that because I really feel we really need it, as a data scientist. The reason is because um, why personal brand? Because you need to let people know that you exist at the very minimum. And the reason why I
Yeah,
say this is because before I came to LinkedIn, Medium, all these different
yeah,
platforms, I submitted my resumes to different job portals, JobStreet, whatever job
yeah,
portals you name it, Glassdoor. Nobody replied me back. Like I was really frustrated. So I think there should be a
right,
better way for us to differentiate ourselves, right, as a candidate. So when I first joined LinkedIn, I think few years back, I started realizing that hey, when you really give value to other people, and people start realizing that you're giving them value, you're helping them, you're actually getting
right,
noticed by recruiters or employers in advance. So this is where you start building your personal brand. And when these
right.
employers, recruiters have some job opportunities, they may contact you. You won't know, right? So this is
Makes
why
sense.
I say
Yes,
like building personal brand is a long term game, but it's one of the most meaningful things that you can do for your career as a data scientist. And that is exactly why I built this course. As you can see on the screen here, I focus mainly two platforms: LinkedIn and Medium, the
right,
platforms that I know deeply about, and I really believe that. So from this course, right, I actually help you optimize your LinkedIn profile from scratch, basically from nothing to
right,
something, and how to put out content on LinkedIn, how to write articles on Medium, how to get traction, and finally, how to build your personal brand. Essentially, I'm sharing the strategy that I'm using currently with you throughout the
right.
course. Yes, yeah. So this the course is
Amazing.
yes,
Amazing. Can't wait. And
yeah,
I wish for asking some questions, I win. You choose me as a winner too for this course.
yeah,
Just kidding. But yes, we have
yeah.
another question from
Mm.
Manpreet Buddharaja. Do you think, admin, that data has been everywhere, but we don't leverage it thoughtfully and skillfully? Do you also believe that AI is one part of the application or product, but there is also more end-to-end deployment, the business value of the product? What do you think?
Okay, I think there are two parts for this question, right? So let me answer the first
Yeah.
part. Great question,
Yes.
Manpreet. The first part has data, are we leveraging it enough thoughtfully and skillfully in data? From the current session,
Yeah.
I'm seeing no. The answer is no. We of course have a lot of data coming in, but a lot of companies, small and big companies, they have so much data, but somehow they don't really know how to leverage the data. So data itself is not meaningful until you know how to get some insights that generates business decision and values, right? So the answer for this is no, and that's why they need more data scientists that have the business domain and skill to help them drive the value. So this is the first part. Now the second thing, do I believe that AI is one part of the application? Yes, exactly it is. AI is not the entire story. If you look at the end-to-end deployment, really the whole parts of the main process is understanding the problem, right? Understanding the problem statements, getting the data. Sometimes you don't even have data to play with. Getting the data, have the pipeline ready, clean the data. This already occupies like 50 to 60% of your time before AI. So AI is just one part of the application. I would say 10 to 20%, where you run your model, make some decisions based on the learning using AI. And there's a 20%, the last part, which is to deploy the model. And it's not the end of the story, right? Once you deploy the model, you got to monitor the performance and you're going to tweak your
Yeah.
model along the way. So I would say AI is really just a small part of the deployment. And we shouldn't just focus on AI, which is the hype right now, but we should look at the overall, the big picture as a data scientist in general. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. I think
Yeah.
that definitely answers Manpreet's question because, yes, you say that AI is a part of the whole project, but obviously not the most important part. But yeah, it does make
Exactly.
sense.
Yes.
Yes. So Raghav Agarwal is here.
Hmm.
He's asking another question. He is like, can machines be more intelligent than humans? What are your views in respect to AI?
I think this is one of the most common questions. Thanks
Yes,
for the question,
exactly.
Rahaf. Yeah, sometimes I wonder this as well. But to me, my personal opinion is that we haven't reached to that level of singularity where the machine is more intelligent than humans. What I'm seeing currently in the society is that machines are helping humans to do manual stuff. Like what you're saying, the manufacturing lines, the factories, to make better decisions and to remove all those repetitive work from humans. Humans, at the end of the day, they still need to make the final decision. And there's a very good reason for that because every business has their own domain knowledge. And machines can't learn all this domain knowledge. So humans themselves, they need to make the final call. Like machines just tell them, I have these options for you to choose. Which one do you want to choose? A human got to pick a button, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
No, that makes complete sense. In the end,
Yeah.
it's humans who are actually creating the machine. So human brain can't be
Exactly.
actually, just replaced by an AI. But yeah, makes sense. So
Yeah.
I had one interesting person who actually mentioned about you, Roxelle, again. She says, I decided to study data science back in 2020 because of admin. He writes wonderfully. Wow.
Oh, thanks, Rochelle. I didn't imagine that coming in, but really appreciate it. I'm glad that my sharing, my articles really inspire you to join data science. I hope you enjoy the journey. Let me know if there's anything I can help you with. Yeah, all the best to your data science journey. Yeah.
That's
Yes.
amazing. So we had one another interesting question from Sal Sahib Sabil. He is asking if you had a magic wand, what would you do differently if you were to restart your data science journey? Obviously, because you have so much you must have learned in till date. So
Yes.
how would you actually want to change? What differently?
Cool. My answer will surprise you a little bit. I would say I won't focus too much on the technical parts, but rather at the beginning, I will focus a lot on the business domain parts in a company
Well,
than the technical parts. So if I were to summarize the entire path with you, if I were to start again, is I'm going to understand that, of course, I need to have some basic programming. So this is the minimum expectation. But the
yeah,
focus would be really the business domain, understand the business, how you can drive the business value. And finally, the third thing is that the soft skill. I'll focus a lot on the soft skills that I talk a lot about on LinkedIn recently, storytelling skills. How are you going to convince your stakeholders to drive decision? And I make this huge mistake in my first job. Like I talk a lot, I share my results. I thought I make the best model ever in the world. At the end of the day, they didn't really listen to me. I didn't manage to convince them, and something was wrong there. And that was when after that, I realized that actually, I got to learn how to communicate the message effectively
right,
to them.
right.
Yeah. So these are three
So,
things.
so you
Yeah.
you might actually have a more of a business approach than the technical approach if you had to do it a little differently.
Yes. Unless you want to join a highly technical role, like the research scientist in Facebook, then there's a different story. Yeah. But in general, yeah, this is how I do.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Thanks for that question, Sal. One question I had was a little different, but
Yes.
I wanted to actually, I was curious to know who are your, favorite five data scientists you would actually pick, and you would be like, okay, these are the five data scientists I follow and I like their work. Obviously, it's kind of very
Yeah.
difficult to pick, I'm sure, but yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I did write about one article for that, the top 10 data science leaders you should follow in 2020 on
Uh-huh.
Medium. So I will just highlight five, but they are not in the order, so no worries. The five that I look at the most, even now until today. The first one will be Cassie. I think she's
Yeah,
currently right the Google head of decision scientist in Google,
Google.
and I really admire her a lot. Cassie, if you are looking at
Right.
this show right now, I admire you because of one single thing, uh, her clarity in sharing in knowledge, particularly in statistics. In fact, the idea
Right.
of key values articles that I shared just now came from her sharing.
Wow.
So it's a whole story for that. Now, the second
Right.
data science keeper that I really look up to is Ben Taylor. Ben
Oh
Taylor,
yeah.
I think you know him, right?
Yes.
So Ben Taylor
Yeah.
currently works as, I think, the chief AI evangelist at Data Robots. So
Yes.
he really helped me understand a lot of the deep learning stuff and different AI topics. So Ben Taylor is one of them, definitely. A third one would be Kevin Tran. I think he's currently based in the US in Stanford. His broad experience in data science really helped me a
Yeah.
lot. The fourth one would be let me look up the name. Andrew Burcroft, if I pronounce his name correctly. His latest
Yeah.
book is
Yes.
what's that? The
Machine.
100-page machine learning books. So this
Yes.
is like the culmination of his knowledge in machine learning. And I really read the whole book when he was launching this book. Really very helpful. And I really learned a lot
Yeah.
from him. The intuitive explanation of machine learning and NLP, yeah, for that. The final one would be the Jose Michel Portilla. It's quite long, but the short name is Jose.
Yeah.
He has one of the most popular Python data science courses on Udemy. You can look up to it, Jose. I started learning Python and data science from his course, and that really helps my foundation on top of that. Yeah,
Wow, this is a great list. And yes, Ben Taylor was one of my guests
yeah,
previously, just last week. And yes,
yeah,
he shares some amazing insights. And the show was completely on a different tangent because he always has something different, right? He
yes.
lived in woods. If you look at his story, he lived in woods, and then he's come all the way. Or and he his I guess his thought process works in a different world altogether, which makes him different, obviously, and which makes him that great. So yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
Okay.
agree. Definitely agree.
One question from Ayush Agarwal here. Why did you choose being a marketing data science consultant? Why not some other domain? Interesting question.
Good question, Ayush. If you look at my LinkedIn profile now, I specifically mentioned that marketing analytics and marketing
Yeah.
attribution. The reason for that is because, to answer your question, is that marketing to me is one of the highly underrated industry for data science. A lot of people they are trying to combine data science in marketing space, like marketing technology, martech in general. But of course, they are still seeing some benefit from that. But I still see there's a huge opportunity for that, specifically in marketing attribution. And there's something exciting about that. Some of the ideas I'm tinkering around to really combine data science in marketing attribution. So what that means is in marketing attribution, you need to know how much money you need to invest in a particular channel. So currently it's hard to track using conventional ways. So I want to use some data science approach to track that and give a more accurate marketing attribution models in this space. Yeah.
Right. Makes a lot of sense actually.
Yes.
So, do you think this is my question actually? Do you think
Oh,
actually, marketing is one of the important aspects in data science as well? Obviously, because personal branding is something that is
yeah.
attached. But do you think it is important aspect? Obviously, because it is related to business.
Yeah, I would say, given the current situation we are in, COVID-19, uh,
Yeah.
it is not entirely foolproof, but it is more foolproof than other industry. The reason why is because if you think in this way, retail, electronic, manufacturing, all these companies, they need marketing. And when they need marketing, they need data. So when there's data,
Right.
you need to come in and help analyze that. So from my perspective is even though you don't work for this company, you go to other company, your skills in the marketing space as a data scientist are highly transferable. So this is one thing,
Yeah.
right? One thing. The second thing is that marketing is generating more and more data, tracking online and offline as well, right?
Right.
Especially given the current the war between Apple and Facebook about data privacy, stuff like that. So
Exactly.
marketers are facing a very big challenge in future, and they need to figure out a way to deal with the data analysis, and this is where we come in to help them.
Right.
Yes.
It makes a lot of sense. And
Yeah.
also Ayush Agarwal says that he wants to get into marketing analytics as well, and very reassuring.
Thank
Both
you.
and your articles as well. So yeah, very insightful.
Appreciate
Amazing.
it.
Glad it helped you, Ayush. We have a question which is about a job actually. So
Yeah.
Alexi, hi Alexi, how are you? So he asked
Thank
about
you.
what would you recommend to do people from countries like Syria and Iran? How can they get noticed to be hired for remote jobs if nobody from the Western world wants to deal with people from these countries? Interesting.
Actually, thanks for asking. I totally know where you are coming from, and this concern is understandable. How I would say is that given the current COVID, everything is moving online. So what this means is that more and more remote jobs will be created. So to me, I would suggest that you don't try to look for jobs in a conventional way. Maybe you try to look from the jobs, from Upwork, some freelancer portals. What I would say is try to learn the skills first from different open source portals or Coursera, Udemy. Get the skills there and start approaching people to do the work for them remotely, right? Either from LinkedIn, joining some meetups, just PM messaging people on different platforms, Reddit, Reddit Medium. So all this is part of the personal brand, stuff like that. But of course, when you are starting, people wouldn't select you, right? Why do they want to work with you? So you need to be humble enough to learn from the experience and hey, I work for you. If you don't, if you are not satisfied with my work, you don't need to pay for that. If you are satisfied, then I'll take this percentage of a month, things like that. So this is what makes you stand out. Yeah, and remember to get testimonial. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yes, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know Alexi must have asked for his friend or maybe some relative, but
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. Admin where networking actually makes a lot of sense here, and networking is actually is actually the oil to get to places and understand how things work. What do you think about networking? In data science.
Exactly. In fact, recently I look up on this topic as well a bit, reading some books and learning from others as well. I think building relationship currently is the
Yeah,
skill to me. So in terms of networking, I would say it's more the value exchange kind of relationship. But when
yeah,
you are networking with others, you should come from a state of without any expectation. So if I help you, I should not expect anything in return. Otherwise, you feel a lot more uh, very bad if people don't just help you in return. What I would say is that give as much value as possible whenever you meet any strangers or new people. Help them as any way as possible that you can, and this is how you add network, right? People, this is how you build relationship with other people. As the time pass by, people will begin to trust you more, and when they need some help in other
exactly.
projects, stuff like that, in future, they will call you. You will know, right? So relationship is like a ripple effect. It's getting bigger and bigger.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
oh yes. I think it's more about
yeah,
asking questions, being that curious, and actually connecting to folks. Ask as many questions as possible. Know more about it, and
exactly.
get closer to people who are credible enough, and actually not have that motive that okay, this is the person who might just give me a project or something like that. But yeah, makes a lot of sense where
Yes.
networking is plays a very important role, I guess. Yeah.
Yep. And I'm still
So,
learning sometimes at it. Yeah.
oh yes,
Okay.
definitely. Everyone's
Yeah.
learning. So we have an interesting question from Pramod Gora. Pure AI data driven data and marketing campaigns are currently used to provide with the best ROI. What are your thoughts about the necessity of AI driven marketing? Okay, sounds interesting.
Cool. Thanks for the question, Pramod. I think marketing spans across different categories, so I'm not sure which particular category you're talking about. But I would say in general, right, marketing, AI-driven marketing, if you look at recommendation system, all the content that you are seeing on Facebook, Facebook wants you to see what you want to see, right? The content. All
Exactly.
this is part of the AI models that's generated for marketing purpose. Let's look at all the ads that you are seeing on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. All these are again run by AI models, right? So all these generate a lot of ROI for the companies themselves, and I think
Right.
this will still continue moving forward in future. In future,
Right.
so I would say that currently AI is really heavily being used, especially in content marketing space. Look at ByteDance, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, all these, they have some AI to suggest the content just so that people continue using their platform, right? So that they can show more ads to you and then they can generate more revenue. So for me, I would say that AI-driven marketing will still remain and will become more and more common in future. Currently, AI marketing is not a necessity yet, but moving forward, that will become something that's essential for all the companies, not just for big companies, but even for small companies as well. Yeah,
Right. Makes a lot of sense there.
yeah,
So I'm sure it does answer Pramod's question. So one interesting question I had for you was about conferences.
sure.
How often do you actually visit
Mm.
conferences and those places, and you do go up for maybe a keynote speaking, or how does it work for you? What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, lately I'm not so active in attending conferences, but I can tell you when I was starting out, I attended
Yeah.
lots of different conferences and meetups, more than you can imagine. Mainly offline in Singapore here, because we have a lot of different offline meetups in Singapore, and I just went to join them to meet people, learn from the talks, and stuff like that. And in terms of conferences, I usually join online because most of the regional conferences in data science were overseas. So I couldn't travel and I just joined online
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I think I learned a lot more than what you usually learn at work. So the one of the suggestions here is that don't try to restrict yourself with your current job. Like I'm a data scientist at company A, I should learn all the stuff in company A. To me, it doesn't work this way. You can learn in different approaches, like getting to know people, conference, meetups, reading articles, joining webinars, joining show today, Ravit Show. So there are different ways to learn
Exactly.
stuff, and I think that there's some of the things that I learned. Yeah,
No, exactly, makes a
yeah,
lot of sense. So we have an interesting question from Ankita Sundarsan.
yeah.
How can we leverage AI in a financial firm? How do you think are some business problems that can actually be solved in the financial domain? Interesting.
Great. If I were to look at the progress, how AI is being used right in the current financial firm, because those are big companies like big banks, Bank of America. Like in Singapore, we have DBS, OCBC, Citibank, right, stuff like that. So the adoption of AI is still moving fairly slowly compared to other industries. So I would say in terms of adoption, it'll come out slower compared to other industries. But if you ask how can we leverage AI in a financial firm, first and foremost, get your data right. Of course, you have a lot of different data that comes in, but before moving to AI first, you need to make sure that the data quality you have is good. You have good understanding of the data, and try to tackle those low hanging fruit first before going to AI, because a lot of problems can actually be solved without using AI, and that will make you quick wins, and that also will convince your bosses to believe in data science first before you ask them, hey, can you invest 10,000, 100,000 to AI model? They won't buy that. So hit the low hanging
Exactly.
fruits, and then people will start understanding and leveraging AI in financial firm. Hope that helps. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You need to have
Yeah.
that trial running, and you need to have that you know model where you can make your boss trust about it, and
Yes.
that would be, I think, helpful. Okay, talking
Yeah.
about
Mm.
we've spoken about how you do write and all of those things. That brings me a question where I always wanted to ask you about when do you plan to write a book about in data science, or how does it work? What are your plans?
Oh, great. This has actually been part of my plan for quite a while, but I haven't really got the time to start writing a book yet. But definitely, I love writing, as you can see on Medium. So a lot of time I think, hey, can I really like write a book to share my experience and knowledge with others? Um,
Yeah.
and and to really put down into a plan, I would say in the next hopefully 1 to 2 years time, not very soon yet, that I will try to write a book, not just about me, but about either technical topics or how to get into this career by interviewing different experts, stuff like that. So there could be
Wow.
many different ways of do that, but definitely this part of my plans to write a book. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. And
Yeah.
what are your two or three favorite books that you have recently read, or maybe you would want to recommend?
Yeah, I just share one I launched just now,
Okay,
which is the 100-page machine learning by Andrew,
amazing.
yeah,
Andrew.
Booker. So this
Yes.
a super cool book if you want to really understand machine learning in a very intuitive manner. Uh, Go read it out. You get what I mean. The second book
Yes.
is the first book that I read when I first started in data science, and I think all of you, most of you know that. It's called An Introduction to Statistical Learning.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's a very popular book. Although the code in the book is written by in R, but you don't need to care about the language. But what I want you to look for is more on the how they explain machine learning, how they explain statistics in that book, which I found it very fascinating. It really lays the foundation of me moving forwards. Um, the third book, which I think is less technical, is called Hands-on Machine Learning. I think it's by O'Reilly. His book, right?
Yeah.
So for that, I read that book basically to learn how to use Python libraries to build machine learning models in the
Right.
beginning. Yeah, I hope that's helpful.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing. I, great
yeah.
recommendations there. We had an interesting question about the job data. So Ranadir is here. He's
Mm.
asking the hype that is created around the world to believe in data. Do you think that the data jobs are created in the same proportion? Interesting.
All right. Unfortunately, not at this situation, COVID. Sorry to say that because a lot of businesses are crumbling. But assuming we come out from COVID, assuming more data jobs will be created, I wouldn't say in the same proportion, but more and more data jobs will be created at a faster pace than what we have now currently.
Right.
Um, and if you ask me, what is the future of data science? I would say looking at the window of 10 to 20 years down the road, it will still be there. Just that in future, maybe we don't call it a data science anymore. I shared a post on LinkedIn last time saying that data science will soon be changed to other titles like machine learning engineers, something more specific, deep learning engineers, AI engineers, data engineers, stuff like that. So that doesn't mean that data scientists have no chance. It just means that we need to specialize in a certain area instead of wearing a hat as a data scientist and doing other stuff. But it's just what I
Right.
think in future.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. No, completely understood, and
yeah,
I think that makes a lot of sense, Admin.
yeah,
Talking of which, I have another interesting question from Neeraj Satpal.
yeah.
Admin, in these uncertain times when industry or organizational changes require adjustments to data, the data team must pivot the most so that the changes are reflected in a timely and consistent manner. Any tips you can share for data teams in this context?
Wow,
Right.
there's a long question. Let me just digest a bit. In these uncertain
Yes.
times, the industry here. adjustments to data. All right, data must pivot, so the changes are very tiny. All right, so I'm thinking that you're asking, hey, during this COVID period, data teams
Yeah.
have to pivot. Any tips on how they can pivot in this context? All right, I would say that even that happens to me in my previous job. When COVID hits, all the priorities change, and immediately
Right.
all the projects that we were working on got on hold. And we're going to focus on something that's more important, which is to cut costs and generate revenue. And I think it's true for most businesses out there. So for their teams to pivot, really need to talk with management team, understand what the priorities are, like what they care about first before you do anything. You can do a lot of things on the ground, but if management doesn't care what you do, they won't give you budget or they don't trust you at all. So I think the communication part here between management team and the data team is very crucial. Once you guys are aligned with the priorities, then you start working on the high uh, priority tasks, like projects. And maybe there's some way that you can cut your costs for certain
Right.
businesses or increase your revenue or bring in new revenue stream. So this is something that you can pivot in different roles. So one word, communication. Yeah.
Amazing. Sounds very interesting and very informative. Thanks,
Yeah.
Admit, for that, and thanks, Neeraj, for asking
Pleasure.
such an amazing question.
Yes. Thank
Um,
you.
yes, we are towards the end, but obviously, before we wrap up, I always ask this to all my guests: which is the best place to actually find you, and if anyone has queries, where should they reach out to you?
LinkedIn, always. I'm most active on LinkedIn. So if you have any questions, feel free to tag me on LinkedIn posts or just connect with me and message me. I'll try my best to reply, to your message as soon as possible. Yeah, LinkedIn. Yes.
Amazing,
Yeah,
amazing. And just before we make a move, I just wanted to make sure that we speak, we actually let the folks know, folks who don't win your course, how can they benefit the best out of it? Is there something what they can, actually get? Is there a discount coupon that you have offered or anything on your course?
yeah, for sure. If you sign up for this course, I think there is a discount code for that 10% discount for this course itself. So if you join them, you also be able to join the Slack group, which I will be there personally to answer your
Amazing.
question. Yes, so if you join this, make sure that you join the Slack group as well, and I'll be there to answer any of your questions regarding personal branding. That would be very helpful for you because uh, if you message me on LinkedIn, I might spend some time to come back to you. But on Slack, usually I'll be there and just uh, make sure that you join the Slack group and we'll can catch up from there. Yeah. But this is a pretty short course. I will share tons of materials in the course itself to really guide you through. It's not just slide. I'll guide you through step by step. You'll see me, maybe not in the face, but me moving around in my laptop, sharing with you how you can optimize your profile and generate content, build your personal brand, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So hope to see you there. Yeah.
Amazing. So what you can do is obviously you can reach out to admin if you need a discount coupon as well for the course. I'm sure he'll be happy to share that.
Yes.
And yes, it was fantastic talking to you, admin,
Sure,
because
man. Yeah.
you shared some amazing insights, and it was completely where you're coming from and what you've done in your past and how you started your journey is very inspiring. And obviously we are a huge fan of your Medium page. You sharing some amazing insights there, and don't stop writing, just keep going, because there are folks who actually want to, who have learned from it and they started their journey. Edmund, actually I wouldn't let you go without taking one question from
Sure.
Roxelle. Obviously, in which point of your career you decided that was time to start to teach?
Very, very good question, Roxanne. throughout my 2 years plus journey, if you saw me posting on LinkedIn, stuff like that, I actually also share a fair bit on some meetups, on mediums, on some other online conferences, stuff like that. So throughout that sharing, I actually realized that, hey, I really enjoy doing that, and I really found the fulfillment, of teaching and sharing. But that time, I wasn't sure whether I want to pivot, to another whole new career. And 2 years later, I think, hey, there was a time I think I got to do something that I love. Just didn't mean that I'm gonna switch out from data science. It's just that I will move to a teaching role instead to help more people, to make impact on that. So this, I think, 6 months back, if you ask me an exact timeline, 6 months back. Yeah.
Wow,
Yes.
very inspiring, Admin.
Yeah.
But thank you everyone for joining in. Thank
Thanks,
you very
guys.
much Admin, for sharing amazing insights. Loved your advices and suggestions. So thank you very much, and bye bye.
See you guys. Yeah.
Wow.
Look forward to see you guys on LinkedIn. Talk soon.
Yes. Bye, guys.